Hello, everyone. I am so happy to bring this podcast episode to you today. I am so stoked because I have joining me today Tiss Grima. So, Tiss has been my nutritionist now, I think, since September. And she's phenomenal. And I couldn't wait because I took my mind your own wellness journey to the limits. I was very, very unwell in my body, mentally and physically. I met Tiss on Instagram. She grabbed my attention instantly, and now she's my nutritionist. And she's my husband's nutritionist. I finally convinced him to get one too. So I will introduce you. I'll get Tiss to quickly introduce herself and her qualifications, and we'll get started.
Thanks, Beck. It's great to be on here and have a nice chat with you.
Yes.
Yes, as you mentioned, I am a nutritionist. I was originally an industrial designer, otherwise known as like a product designer. And then because of my own health struggles, I ended up switching completely into studying a Bachelor of Health Science in nutritional and dietetic medicine, and brings me to where I am today as a nutritionist, specializing in women's health, particularly things like endometriosis, PCOS, fibroids, etc.
That's incredible. So, to give everyone a bit of an idea, the reason why I first DM'd Tess is because my doctor, and we've got lots to talk about today. We've got a lot of talking points, which I think hopefully will help lots of you listening. But the reason I initially went to Tess was because I was told I had endometriosis. And so, when medical professionals tell you you have something, you tend to listen and go, oh no. So I saw Tiss on Instagram, and she was sharing all of this incredible information about endometriosis. And ironically, everything Tiss had shared, I'll keep stop talk. I'm actually going to stop talking to you like a third person. I'm just, it's so strange. When I saw your Instagram post, Tiss, I noticed that you were hitting the mark every time. You were talking about the symptoms and the feelings and just really relating to me. And I thought, oh my gosh, I do have endo. This is bad. And even before I engaged you to be my nutritionist, you were just being really helpful in giving me some advice via Instagram, which is really helpful. But and I also felt really safe with you because safe, I think, is something that is underrated. To have someone that you feel confident or comfortable is the word I'm looking for right now, comfortable with and safe with is hugely important. um so can you share with us, because for those who know you or those who don't, um Tiss has so you haven't always been a nutritionist. What were you in a previous life?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I guess I originally started out, I loved designing. I was always very much more creative, not really the maths kind of person. My career kind of started off, getting into the world of design, and absolutely loving it. Like I still really enjoy designing. But yeah, I guess when I got out there into the real world and I was doing like a 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Job, like every day, 5 days a week, and then having weekend off, I was just realizing like it wasn't normal to be going through so much pain, suffering with endo, which I didn't know I had at the time, whilst trying to juggle this job. So I guess, yeah, that's when I realized I needed to make a change and really focus on my health. So I completely diverted into nutrition, which has been the best decision I've made in my life.
Do you know, you really nailed it then, didn't you? Because I think a lot of women, especially there's so many of us, and I have stopped doing it now because I think I hit rock bottom. But we
Mm.
seem to, women especially, because we have to go, go, go so much, we tend to wear pain as some kind of badge of honor.
100%.
Like, oh, I've got pain. I can endure this. I can get through this. Or, I haven't slept, but I can get through this. I don't need a nap because I'll just keep pushing through. And I read a quote once and it really hit me hard. And I can't quite remember the words, so I'm probably not going to do it a huge amount of justice. But it said something like, when your body whispers, listen
Mm,
before your body screams.
mm. I
And
love
it's
that quote.
true because, and that's essentially my body was screaming at me when I came
Mm.
to you. Shouldn't have waited that long, but I did. And again, so going back to when I first started seeing you on Instagram, it was literally because I was probably at my worst. So at that point, when I came to see you, it wasn't even a case of my weight loss. Sorry, my weight in general wasn't my primary focus. I just felt horrible. I was not seeing I was not going out. I wasn't doing anything. I was just so unhappy and unwell. I remember first meet you, I was just so unhappy in my body. And when I started talking to you, you just provided, and it was even what I really loved is the questions that you asked. You really got to know me, and in 45 minutes it was incredible because you asked all of these great questions. You genuinely cared about who I was, what I did, not just what I ate, but my whole medical history, my healthcare, sorry, history. And you asked just questions from an overall holistic perspective so you can get
Mm.
an idea of my whole being. And I felt really comfortable with that. And yet when I have been to medical professionals, and I love my GP, I think she's fantastic. I have had my GP since the car crash, so she's fantastic. But there is a difference between it's not a bad thing to have multiple specialists taking care of multiple things, or letting the exactly right. And I've seen someone say, I go to the GP for broken bones and I'll see my naturopath or my nutritionist for internal support. And I think that is really a key thing for me. I came to you and you were amazing, and I go to my GP for scripts.
Yeah,
If
100%.
yeah, like if I need a scan or if I need a script for antibiotics, if I absolutely require
Yeah,
them, then, but
exactly.
otherwise, food
Yeah.
is medicine for me now.
Definitely. I mean, I have, yeah, absolutely nothing against the medical world. Like they do amazing things, saving people's lives and doing what they can to kind of diagnose with the tools that they're provided. But yeah, I feel like it is so important to find like the right support team to surround yourself with, not just settling with like the first specialist you see, but trusting your gut. And if you don't feel respected, to keep looking because there are so many amazing specialists out there in the medical world. Same for nutrition. So yeah, I guess it is so important to say advocate for yourself and find the right people around you to best help your condition.
Absolutely. And feel comfortable and confident with what they're telling you.
100%.
Because I figure that, so for example, I had an appointment and I shared this with you via DM because I was so frustrated. But so I have a history of bowel cancer, and I remember having a specialist appointment at a hospital, which I shan't name. And the specialist there was saying, "Oh, are you still taking Movicol? Are you still taking Metamucil? Are you still taking this host of stuff?" And I said, "Oh, well, no, because I'm seeing a nutritionist." And I was kind of, for lack of a better word, shut down for that.
Yeah.
Why I'm doing what I suggested, blah, blah, blah. And I did, in that moment, I thought, and I said to him, I've been seeing this nutritionist now since about probably spring, maybe even a little bit earlier. I don't remember. And I've had some fantastic results. And ironically, I remember, and I'm just so annoyed that they're not in season at the moment, but you said take a kiwi a day or two.
Yes.
I want to frame that message on my wall because with any sluggish bowels, that kiwi fruit was
Yeah.
magical. And I
Work
said,
wonders.
it's amazing.
The miracle fruit.
It is.
Yeah.
Saying to this specialist, oh, my nutritionist said to have a kiwi or two a day. and that's been working well. And I was shot down for that as well. And I thought, okay, I don't want to disregard anyone's opinion. So then I
Mm.
went home and I looked up the ingredients of Metamucil and Mobicol,
Mm.
and I discovered there's a thing called aspartame in
Yes.
Metamucil. And I remember immediately DMing you going, hey, and then you went, yeah. And you know what I love about you as well, Tiss? You don't discredit anybody. You don't shut down anybody. You will just say, my professional opinion, I'm in favor of this, or I really like this for that reason. You will never say that is rubbish or that's not true. You're very, I love how you don't discredit anyone or anything. You just share very warmly and kindly what you would recommend. And that is just, it's really nice. And when I found out what aspartame was and that it can really affect, I think it's the kidneys, right?
Mm.
Yeah. And I just went, no. And then on top of that, I had surgery before Christmas for the endometriosis that I don't actually have. So that's right. I went through a surgical procedure for something I didn't have, and a 5-week recovery period for something that I didn't have. And then randomly, I had I can't pronounce it. And I'm just going to say, because I also can't pronounce words anymore very well, anesthetic assistant, I believe. And he was so lovely. And he was just coming in to check on me. And he was the one who said the key ingredient in Metamucil is
Mm.
psyllium husk. So why not try that? And then again, I DM'd you just to get your
Mm.
professional opinion. And then you said, yep, that's fine. There's also this option as well. And
Yeah.
that's what I love. You don't ever tell people, don't do it. You just say, well, I've had great experiences, or my patients have had really great results from this.
Definitely. Yeah, I think it's so important to have an open mind going into these things because everyone has a different perspective. There's, different studies on different things. So yeah, I think definitely the best approach is always to go in with an open mind and see what is working for the individual, and going with that approach. But definitely keeping an open mind to different things and being well researched, doing your own research, is so important.
It is, because I have always taken medical professionals' words as verbatim, which is
Yeah.
okay. If anyone is listening, you can take verbatim. I'm not telling you not to.
Yes.
I'm just saying my personal journey is that now I have learned for my own personal wellness and well-being and my whole health
Yeah.
needs is to find people you're comfortable with. And and again, I've only stayed with Tiss because of the results. So if you had have given me, Tiss, like a meal plan and I wasn't seeing those results, and keeping in mind that meal plan that you gave me back in September or whenever I first engaged you, that was for 12 weeks and I'm still going. So
Wow.
I
That's
relaxed it a little.
amazing.
Right. So I've relaxed it a bit and added, I think, one lot. I still don't have gluten. I'm
Mm.
not a celiac, I'm not gluten intolerant, but now I know that, and I remember actually, and I said this to you, that I had a bite of bread once many weeks ago, and I felt like I was in labor all over again. So I'm
Mm.
not even gluten intolerant, but the bread, one bite of it, I
Mm.
almost lost control of my bowel and my bladder simultaneously due to the pain I was in from a
Wow.
bite of bread. And it just proves how amazing your support was, because I did a complete clean out of my gut, which
Mm.
brings me to, I'm going to skip ahead and come back a little bit.
Yeah.
Talk to everyone about gut health, because I learned so much from you about gut health.
Yes. It really is so pivotal. Like often, when individuals come in to see me with a significant health problem, I will usually put them on, say, like an 8 to 12 week gut healing program. Because I do find that it is often a major contributing factor to the individual's symptoms. Obviously, everyone is unique and there'll be other factors that I will need to target. So maybe nutritional deficiencies that are coming into play, immune system dysfunction, things like that. But yes, for a lot of individuals, I do find that because of our modern lifestyle, they do need like a full gut reset. It's almost kind of like retraining the brain as well, from craving sugar to switching into craving the amazing whole food foods that we do actually have, going to farmers markets like you do.
Yes.
Yes, which is incredible, because there are so many, fresh organic herbs and spices that we can instead use to flavor our foods instead of, say, the sugary packaged sauces that we can easily grab in the supermarket. So yes, often I will do like a full gut cleanse. So that is designed to pretty much help weed out any of the bad bacteria that is thriving off all these sugars and processed foods, followed by, say, strengthening the gut lining, and then adding back in the beneficial bacteria. So, and each of the strains or the probiotics that I will give to an individual will depend on their specific condition.
And that's what I love, is you literally zoom in 45 minutes. You zoom in to their specific condition. You don't just generalize who we are. When we talk to you, the amount of questions that you ask is insane. And it doesn't feel like a Spanish Inquisition. It just feels like you genuinely care. We sit there and you're like, okay, let's talk about this. And then, when I spoke to you, I would say something, you're like, okay, and based on that, can you share a little bit about this? It was so great. I honestly, and this is the thing, when you offered online consults, I went, oh, I'm a little bit skeptical about online consults. I prefer to see one-on-one. But you're a very comforting person. So having those consults with you, even online, was so beneficial.
I'm really, really glad. Yeah, I think that is why I do take an hour and a half for the first consult, because I realize,
Sorry,
like,
hour and a half, not 45 minutes, an hour and
well, it
a
is 45
half.
minutes of questioning. So,
Oh, there you
so
go.
essentially you are correct.
Very good.
Yes. And then the following part is the treatment plan.
Very good.
But yes, it is like quite an extensive, elaborate process, because I feel like there is definitely not enough time when you go to your GP. Unfortunately, they just don't have the time to be able to go through in 15 minutes, if that, to go through your full history, and really nut out what are the factors interplaying here. What about environmental, lifestyle, food, genetics? Like, there's all these things that can come into play, and I do feel that I can get the most out of an individual being able to ask these questions in an hour and a half, and working together to come up with the best strategy to help that individual.
And what I really love is that, and you just nailed it again, is that when we speak to a GP, they have about 15 minutes and or a bit less. And even in that time, I still see my GP, and I adore my GP, don't get me wrong,
Same.
but I can still see her, the phone's ringing from reception, or emails or urgent test results are popping through an
Exactly.
inbox. And, she's trying to focus on you, but then there's all of these other
Yes.
things going on. So then and again, when I had the consult with you, those questions really dove deep into the whole person. And what I
Mm.
think is, what scared me before I had the consult was, this is such a big problem that I have. How can I possibly fix it? How can there be a remedy? And then step by step, you provided those tangible examples. And I'll get onto this in a second, but the meal plan that you provided for me, so it was just amazing. The value that you provided was incredible, because not only did you, my main issue was, okay, so I'm going to have a meal plan. I'm sorry, I'm going to meet you, and then I'm going to take all of these notes down, and then I'm going to have to put them into practice myself. And given that I have functional neurological disorder from the car crash, I really struggle with new information from time to time. But when I had that consult with you, you went, no, you don't even need to do that. I'll give you the meal plan. And I went, thank you. It was amazing. And it was stepped out, the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And it wasn't strict. You said, and I'm very fussy. And you were like, okay, if all right, what can we do here? Instead of having this, you can have that. And I remember on the meal plan, you gave me minced stew for breakfast. I was like, you cannot be serious. You cannot be insisting that I have minced stew for breakfast. But It was crazy. So I was so grateful. And that's the key message, I guess, is that when you talk, you make it simple. You make this massive, ah, what am I gonna do? I feel bleh, into this really simple
Mm.
Monday to Sunday meal plan. And it's basic. It's
I'm
so
so glad.
basic. And I love it. And then you're like, and if we need extra supplements or whatever to kickstart things or just boost those efforts, again, it's simple. Can you talk to me more so about food being the medicine?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I guess going back on our previous discussion about how in our world we're kind of falling into this way of eating where we've got really easy access to fast food chains and quick, just like little muesli bars that are laden with sugar. And that's kind of just become, I guess, the normal way of eating in our society. And then we're wondering why we're having these like big afternoon crashes. We're exhausted all the time, fatigued, we're feeling sick. We've got all these conditions that are on the rise. And I think it's because we're literally just, this has become the norm. So I guess going back to thinking about how we've evolved in society, thinking back to before then and how did we used to eat? We cultivated things from the land that were nourishing and full of nutrition. We weren't focusing on, oh, this, eating too much fat is bad for you. And, really just focusing on the whole foods, that simple things like 5 vegetables, 2 fruits per day. A lot of people aren't even meeting that recommendation, which is insane because that's such a big determining factor for our health as well, getting enough fiber in. Even just simple things like drinking plenty of water. That's something I often discuss first off with all of my clients is, are you getting the recommended amount of water in per day? Because yeah, all these little things can make such huge impacts on our health. And I guess I talk about all of this especially because I've also experienced it myself, going through negative health experiences, going through the medical system, some of it helping, some of it making things even 10 times worse. And then realizing, no, I just need to get back to the basics, eat whole, good quality foods. Making sure I'm getting enough quality proteins in, say like things like bone broths,
Yes.
and which a lot of my clients have been incorporating as well. It's almost like a morning ritual now, I find.
Yes. Yes.
um, Having things, anti-inflammatory foods like turmeric, saffron can be amazing for its mood boosting qualities. It's all the little things that add up. Going back to organic, healthy, natural foods can make such a big difference. It really is food as medicine. That was literally one of my subjects in nutrition class. It was food
Absolutely.
as medicine.
And it's fantastic even because now I'm shopping less at supermarkets and I do most of my shopping at Helensvale Farmers Market.
That's so
And
good.
even now, right. And I love it because every Saturday morning I'll get my same whole food smoothie from Whole Food Haven. I will
Wow.
go and grab my organic fresh produce. So my diet is now, I would say, at least 80% completely organic. I go and
That's
get
so
my Brazil nut. So if during the day my snacks will now be an apple and an orange and some Brazil nuts
it's
perhaps.
perfect.
And going back, I was eating, blocks of chocolate, packets of chips,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, it's not that bad. It's a little bit of a treat.
Yeah.
And you don't realize
Yes.
how far you've swayed from actually
Yes.
you justify it.
Exactly.
You
Yes.
justify it. And then it was really interesting because I remember going through the detox process when I started my plan with you. And I remember on day 3, I was detoxing hard and I was angry and I was just miserable and I was cramping and I felt like I was just sweating and just all kinds of bad things. And I remember, and you said to me, it's okay. Some people experience this, some people don't. And then I remember the other key quote you gave me, and I'll never forget this. I had my period for the first time on the meal plan and I was craving just something like chocolate or just something. And I sent you a message saying, what can I have? And you said, oh, a small piece of frozen mango or pineapple. And I went, you've got to be kidding me. Like, no, no, no. I think
Yeah.
something's confused you, Tess, because I'm saying I'm craving something and you're giving me a small piece of frozen mango or
Yeah.
pineapple. This cannot be true. Do I need to repeat my question?
Yeah.
And you were serious.
100%.
But
Yeah.
here's the thing, fast forward to now, and that's perfectly acceptable for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Period. That small piece of fruit or, having a bit of apple or something is perfectly fine. And my body's like, yep, no, I'm good now.
Yeah.
But back then I went, this is like another phase of
Torture.
trauma. How I need my psychologist on hand to deal with this.
It is incredible how much your palate changes though, because it is your tongue and your senses almost it knows what it's used to. So if you're used to a certain level of sugar, then your body is constantly seeking that to reward yourself and get that dopamine rush in. But if you're focused on warming proteins and good quality fruits and veg and the occasional like fruit to sweeten the palate, then that's
Yes.
that's the level that your body is expecting.
100%. And again, this is just testament to the work that you do and the work that you put in and just everything about you, because that's where I am now. And, I have lost a considerable amount of weight from eating well. I do feel top to toe so much better off. And now I have a better understanding of what I need to do, and that what I don't have is endo and what I do have is bowel issues. And even when I had the follow-up consult with you, we're like, great, we know what we don't need to focus on, and now we know what we do need to focus on. And it's just having that partner in you side by side that I go, okay, I've got my nutritionist, I'm good. So before we finish up, Tis, can you tell me what the common misconceptions that you face with nutrition, or the common pain points that people have had with you?
Yeah, definitely.
Or not with you, but about nutrition.
Yeah, 100%. So I guess, yeah, one of the main things is obviously, I guess it stems from a long time ago when we thought that eating fat makes you fat. And that's such a generalized term now, because we do know that there's so much more involved in fat than just, one type of fat. Um, there are so many different little categories underneath that term. And often good quality fats actually fundamental to our whole body. So fat basically builds our cholesterol, it builds our hormones. So without fat, our cells aren't going to be protected from a lot of these outside toxins. So yeah, I guess that is one of the main things. Often people will come in to see me and they'll be like, well, but fat is bad, it's not good for you. And I'm like, well, no, actually, it depends on the type of fat, how much, the quantity, etc. There's really, really great sources of fat, including avocados, olive oil, like nuts and seeds. They're also got really amazing nutritional properties. They're anti-inflammatory. Even a little bit of saturated fat we've now found is not actually bad for you. A little bit of butter, a little bit of naturally found saturated fats in meat. It's actually important for our health. And it obviously depends on the individual's genetic makeup as well that comes into it. But that's definitely one myth that I would like to debunk, is that not
Very
that is
good.
bad.
And what I found really interesting is on that, with the oils. I remember when
Mm.
we were speaking in my consult, and you had said, certain oils are needed to activate the nutrients or minerals or vitamins, one of those
Yes,
words that you said,
yes, yes,
because you could eat all the good food, but you need certain oils in your system to activate them. And I went,
yes.
no.
That's a really good point. Yes. And that's something I honestly believe that we should be taught from like in during school. Like I feel like this is education that, we should be growing up with, so that we can have a better understanding of our bodies and how we actually biologically function. And yes, exactly. So there's certain fat soluble vitamins. So that includes vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and K, that actually need fat to be absorbed properly into the body, which is wild when you think about it. That's how important fat actually is.
It's wild that, and like you said, it's wild that we're not educated about this, or it's not public. Like I was just, what I was saying is that I am genuinely shocked at what I've learned ever so briefly from you, is that this information is so basic and we've strayed so far. And I think that if you do
Exactly.
get, yeah, and any woman, because of course, I think let's edit that bit out. For women especially, I think that the second that you're starting to feel like maybe you need that extra support, or something's not quite right, or something just needs a bit more connection, then go see a nutritionist, go see a naturopath, you know. And even, to be honest, I'm not entirely sure the fundamental difference between a nutritionist and a naturopath. I think naturopath is herbals and
Yes.
nutritionists are food based.
Yes. So I actually started out as a naturopath. So studying. So I started out studying naturopathy. Um,
Yes.
and after my first year, I decided, no, I want to go and I want to switch and study nutrition. And then later down the track, I'm going to specialize in, say, herbs or a naturopathy degree.
Right.
So I still have plans to continue studying herbs, but I have done the basic. Yeah.
That will make you an absolute powerhouse. And as I was saying to you on a DM, because when you have a business, you really do need a fundamental why. Why are you doing it? Is it just for profit? Is it just for something to do? Is it because you're just very good at it? And I think the reason why a lot of women, especially, are very successful when they have businesses is because that why is so fundamental to their core. And your why is because you've watched your mother generations before you struggle with endo. You've struggled endlessly with endo, and then you took control and you went, well, instead of just going to see someone about this, I'm going to learn how to manage it myself. And now you're a powerhouse. And I recommend you to everyone, because not only are you fantastic at what you do, but you're very comfortable to be speaking with. You're a safe space. And I guess when you go to see some other specialists or medical professionals, sometimes it's just very cold, abrasive. You're in and you're out. You feel like, okay, this is your whole. You allow your patients to hold space. You're like, no, this is your space. Go for it. And I love that.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anything else you would like to share before we finish off, Tiss?
Ooh, yeah, I guess the main thing is, yeah, like keep fighting and advocating for yourself. I am really lucky that I guess it was actually my mum that kind of kept fighting for me when I was in a really dark space, and I just found out that I had PCOS, but I didn't know I had endo because a decade ago we didn't have the same tools to diagnose conditions like endo. Yeah, my mom actually pretty much picked me up and said, "That's it. These solutions that you're currently doing was taking the pill, etc., not working for you, but we're going to keep fighting and find another solution that's better suited to your body." And she actually found one of the top naturopaths at the time and took me, and really did help turn my life around. So
Oh,
yeah,
mother. Oh, she
yeah,
needs a mother, I think. Oh my gosh, what a phenomenal. I know that all mums aspire to be like that, but the difference that she's made by
yes.
helping giving you those foundational stepping stones is phenomenal. So if your mum ever listens, tell her, well done, Tiss's mum. You're
Shout out to
amazing.
my mum.
Because you have made such a huge difference in my life. I am confident and I am happy in my body. Cole is my husband now because he's also seeing you. He feels really good and he feels more confident, like he can take charge. Because, in addition to absolutely everything, we have now, and I've mentioned this to you before, I have lost a lot of trust in the medical industry. I've lost a lot of trust in the information that is given to me. And now I like to critically think about everything. I like to go, this is the information, sure, but is this relative to me? Is this information that I can just throw away and bin, or should I keep hold on for dear life? And learning these fundamental tools from you has been instrumental in me just being who I am today, and I'm so immensely grateful. And that's why I really wanted to get you on, to share that with other women who were going, I do feel a bit sluggish, or you know what, I'm not feeling a bit my clarity, or
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just,
let's check out.
that was actually the other thing. I just realized that one of the other things fundamental reasons is I was doing some exercise. I thought I was eating well. And that's why I came to you going, what's going on? Nothing is shifting. And then all of a sudden it shifted because I had to go back to basics. Oh, you're amazing. I'm
Ah.
so happy to have you. But if there, did you want to say anything, any final words before we end today's episode? I could talk to you
Yeah,
forever. You're
I
amazing.
know, same. You keep going. No, yeah, just definitely trust your gut. Go with what feels right. Keep searching for answers, because you honestly deserve the very best in life. And if your situation is not working out for you and you're not feeling, the best that you can feel, then keep looking. There are people out there that can support you and look after you on your journey.
100%, and you're one of them. So what I'll do, guys, for everyone who's listening, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the link to Tiss's website. If you are interested in learning more about Tiss or just asking a few questions, or maybe you are desperately looking for a nutritionist that you can trust and who is going to support you, I'll drop her link when I post with the podcast episode. And if there's any other additional information, you can probably talk with Tiss about accessing further support or additional support. But I can guarantee you one thing: if my influence does anything, is that I'm very grateful to have found Tiss and that I have chosen Tiss to support me long term. So on that message, we will end today's episode. Thank you so much, Tiss, for coming along. I appreciate you immensely. I'm so glad to have you in my life supporting my wellness journey. And I hope to get you on again in the future.
Oh, thanks so much for having me, Beck. It's always
Pleasure.
so lovely chatting with you.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, Tiss.
Thank you.